They all said I'd be scammed, that I'd end up broke, used, and alone. I almost believed them. God knows I walked into Manila with my guard up and my heart locked tight. I wasn't there for romance, I told myself that over and over. Just wanted some sun, a little peace, and maybe a place where no one knew how much I'd already lost. But then she showed up. Not with a smile that screamed seduction, or a handout asking for money. No, she just stayed. She stayed when I had nothing. She stayed when I couldn't walk. And when I told her to leave, when I thought pushing her away was the only decent thing left in me, she held my hand instead. This isn't one of those stories where the girl vanishes with your wallet and pride. This one, she saved me, even if I didn't think I deserved saving. And maybe that's the part that hurts the most. Because sometimes, when someone loves you at your worst, you start to wonder why you ever thought you deserved anything better. I told myself I wouldn't be one of those guys. You know the type. Old, soft in the head, clinging to a woman half his age who calls him sir while checking her phone under the table. I swore I was smarter. I read every forum before I flew out. I watched the YouTube warnings, the sad-eyed retirees with broken voices saying, "Don't fall for it." I even laughed at some of them, thought, I've been divorced for 15 years and raised a daughter on my own. I've seen it all. But when I stepped off that plane in Manila and felt the warm, thick air wrap around me, I didn't feel smart. I felt tired and a little afraid. I checked into a tiny condo in Makati, just me, a mattress, and a broken rice cooker. I hung one photo on the wall of me and my daughter when she was 10. She's in Oregon now, married, barely calls. I used to get angry about that. But mostly now I just stare at the picture and wonder when I became so easy to forget. I didn't come here for women. I told people I was chasing warm weather, cheap food, and a slower life. Truth was, I didn't know what I was chasing anymore. Every morning I'd walk to the same cafe, order the same coffee, sit alone and listen to the young Filipinos laugh and chat around me like I was invisible. I heard a guy at the next table one morning say to his friend, "Foreigners come here to feel young again. They leave with empty wallets." I sipped my coffee and kept my eyes down, like it didn't sting. I kept repeating what I told myself back home. Don't trust anyone who calls you sir with a smile too wide. Don't believe the compliments. Don't open your wallet for anything but food and rent. But by the third week, I started talking to the waitress. Nothing flirty, just small talk. Her name was Liza. She asked where I was from, how long I was staying. I told her Oregon, long enough to dry out. She laughed politely, didn't ask for my number, didn't linger. But later that night I caught myself replaying the sound of her laugh in my head. That scared me more than anything, because if I was already holding on to crumbs, what would I do when someone actually offered me warmth? I wasn't some lovesick fool. I knew the warnings. But warnings don't mean much when the silence in your condo gets so loud it feels like it's pressing on your chest. I used to be a man who made decisions, clear, rational ones. But sitting alone with instant noodles and a broken heart that never quite healed, I started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as different as I thought. Maybe I'd come here looking for peace, but what I really wanted was to feel like someone still saw me. I was standing on the corner outside Robinson's Mall, staring at a wall of traffic that didn't care if I lived or died, when I felt a hand on my arm. "Too dangerous, sir. I help you." I turned, startled, and there she was, petite, maybe mid-30s, black hair tied back, eyes that studied me without flinching. I didn't move. My legs had stiffened from standing too long, and my pride didn't like being touched, but I let her guide me. We crossed in silence, weaving through honking horns and impatient scooters until we reached the other side. She let go of my arm and said, "You shouldn't cross alone here. They won't stop." I managed to laugh. "Yeah, I gathered, thanks." She smiled, nodded, and turned to leave. "Wait," I said. "What's your name?" She looked back. "Angel." I asked if she worked nearby. "Sometimes massage, sometimes market. Depends who pays more." I braced myself for the pitch, the card, the flirty joke, the fake compliment. It never came. "Okay, sir, take care," she said, then walked off toward the alley behind the mall. I stood there a moment, watching her disappear into the crowd. She hadn't asked for anything. Not my number, not a tip, nothing. That stuck with me. I sat at my usual cafe that afternoon, but my coffee went cold. I kept hearing her voice. I told myself it was just the surprise of the moment, someone helping without strings. That kind of thing didn't happen to men like me. I'd grown used to being seen as a wallet with legs, but her voice had something else in it. Not warmth exactly, but clarity. I walked past the same spot the next day, slower this time, part of me hoping she'd appear again. She didn't. I told myself to forget it. She was probably being polite, probably did that for 5 men a day. But that night, when I was washing dishes, I caught myself saying her name out loud. Angel. I shook my head. Ridiculous. I was 64, she was, 37, 40 at most? But still, the next day I went back. Sat at a bench across from the crossing and waited. I told myself I was people-watching. But when I saw her again, 2 days later, carrying a plastic bag of greens and walking like she owned the sidewalk, my heart did something strange. I stood and waved. She stopped, raised an eyebrow, then walked over. "You again? You still saving foreigners from traffic?" She laughed, short and bright, only the ones who look confused. I asked if I could buy her a coffee. She hesitated. "Okay, but just coffee." We sat at a small stall near the sidewalk. She ordered iced black, no sugar. I asked where she was from. "Bulacan? Far." I asked what brought her to Manila. "Same as everyone, work, life." Her answers were simple, no drama, no sad story, just facts. I liked that. I told her I used to be in construction. Oregon, divorced, 1 daughter. She didn't ask for more. She nodded, stirred her coffee, and said, "You don't smile much, sir. Not a lot to smile about lately." She didn't respond right away. Then she said, "Maybe smile small first. Then more will come." I stared at her. That line hit me harder than it should have. We talked another 10 minutes. She stood to leave first. "I go now, boss waiting. You be careful, okay?" I offered to walk her, but she shook her head. "Next time." Then she was gone again. I sat there a long while, her words echoing in my chest like something important I hadn't felt in years. Maybe it was just a nice chat. Maybe I was reading too much into it, but something had shifted. And I didn't know it yet, but I'd be chasing that voice through every corner of Manila in the weeks to come. I saw her again outside the Mercury Drug near the corner of Arnis. She was squinting at a list on her phone, muttering prices under her breath. I stepped closer and said, "We've got to stop meeting like this." She looked up, blinked once, then smiled. "You follow me, sir?" "I'm not that smooth," I said, "but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hoping to run into you." She laughed. "You need medicine, toothpaste, and maybe a reason to talk to someone." She gave me this sideways look, not quite suspicious but not quite comfortable either. "Okay, then you buy toothpaste. I wait outside." That's how we ended up eating at a Jollibee across the street. She got chicken joy. I ordered a burger steak and tried not to stare at her too long. She didn't wear makeup, no jewelry. Her hands were rough, fingers slightly bent. Working hands. "So, Angel," I said, "is that your real name?" "No, my Lola called me Angel when I was a baby. I like it better than my real name." "Which is?" "Secret," she grinned, then took a bite of chicken. I smiled back. "Fair enough. I'm Frank, by the way." "Frank," she repeated, then nodded. "Sounds like movie name." "Old movie, maybe." She tilted her head. "You are not old, only slow." I laughed harder than I had in months. Then, after a pause, I said, "I've got a heart condition, makes me slower than I'd like." Her smile faded a little. "You okay now?" "Stable. But there were a couple scares last year. That's part of why I'm here. Oregon winters aren't good for bad hearts." She nodded slowly. "You have family there?" I hesitated. "A daughter. Grown. Married. We don't talk much. Her mom and I divorced when she was 8. And son? She asked gently. I stared at my plate. He stopped talking to me when he was 20. That was over 15 years ago. Never really knew why. Angel didn't say anything. She just picked at her fries and let the silence sit between us like it belonged there. Sorry, I said. Didn't mean to dump all that on you. She shook her head. No. I ask, you answer. That's fair. Her voice was calm, steady, like she'd heard worse. I wanted to ask about her family, but something told me not to push. Instead, I said, You always this kind to strangers? Only to ones who buy toothpaste. I chuckled again, then looked her in the eye. I've been waiting for it. For what? The story. The part where you tell me your mom's in the hospital. Or you lost your phone and need help. Or some guy took your money. She didn't flinch, just leaned back and said, Maybe I wait for you to say you rich first. I'm not. Then no story, she said, smiling faintly. Only chicken. I don't know what made me trust that. Maybe the way she never asked for anything. Maybe the way she didn't try too hard. Or maybe I just needed someone to look me in the face and not see a dollar sign. Angel, I said, do you eat with a lot of foreigners? Sometimes, she said honestly. But not like this. How is this different? She paused. You don't try to touch my hand. You don't tell me I'm beautiful. You talk like normal man, like you forget you are a foreigner. I swallowed hard. Maybe I just forgot how to be anything else. She didn't reply, just watched me with that same unreadable look. I felt exposed, and somehow okay with it. The guard near the door called out that they were closing. She stood and grabbed her bag. Thank you for dinner, Frank. Can I see you again? She shrugged. Maybe. If you buy toothpaste again. I laughed. What if I switch to mouthwash? Then I leave. She winked, turned, and walked into the night. I sat there in the empty Jollibee with a half-eaten burger and a heart that didn't feel so heavy. I was heading up the stairs to my condo when everything went black. No warning, just a crushing weight in my chest and then concrete against my cheek. The security guard said I mumbled something about soup. I woke up hours later in bed, drenched in sweat, heart pounding like a broken drum. And there she was, Angel, sitting in a plastic chair beside me, arms crossed, eyes locked on my face. You're awake now, she said. You scared me. I tried to sit up. She stopped me with a hand on my shoulder. You need to rest. I bring you food. How did you... Guard called me. You gave my number last week, remember? I didn't, but I didn't question it either. She opened a little bag and pulled out a plastic container. Luga. Not hot, but okay for your stomach. I took a few spoonfuls while she watched. I asked her if she had work. Not today, I stay here. You don't have to, I said. I can manage. She shook her head. You don't even have medicine. She wasn't wrong. I hadn't filled my prescription since last week. I'd been putting it off. She checked the little fan by the bed, adjusted the window curtain, then sat back down. Just sleep. I'm here. I woke up 2 more times that night. Each time she was still there. Never in the bed, always in the chair, sometimes humming something soft I couldn't place. In the morning, she asked, You want me to go? Do you want to go? No, but I don't want you to think I stay for something. Angel, you've been here all night. You fed me. You didn't take anything. I think I can guess why you stayed. She gave a tiny nod. Okay then, I said. You can stay, if you want to. She smiled, just a little. That was the beginning. Not a romantic moment, not a kiss, just a tired man in a sweaty bed and a woman folding a towel she'd brought from her own place. Jack, my neighbor, saw her later that week and pulled me aside. You sure about this, he said. They all start like saints, cook you dinner, rub your feet, tell you you're strong, and then, boom, one day it's your ATM they're rubbing. I laughed, but his words got to me. She hasn't asked for anything. Yet, he said. It's the long game, mate. I didn't know what to say to that, but when I got back upstairs, Angel was scrubbing the stovetop, her hair tied back, a damp cloth over one shoulder. I watched her move, focused, quiet, efficient. "Jack says you're running a long game," I said. She turned. "Who is Jack?" "My neighbor, British, divorced." She smirked. "Maybe that's why he thinks like that." "You're not mad?" "No," she said. "If I was you, maybe I think same." That stuck with me. She didn't defend herself, didn't cry or make a scene, just understood. That night, I offered her a drawer. She filled it with 3 shirts, 1 pair of jeans, a charger, and a towel. No makeup, no perfume, no mystery skincare kit. Just the basics. I laid awake that night, listening to her breathe beside me, not snoring, not pretending, just being. I didn't reach for her, didn't try to make it into something it wasn't. I was too tired, and maybe too afraid of breaking whatever was starting to form between us. She whispered, "You okay?" "Yeah. You feel safe with me?" I thought about it, really thought. "Yeah, I do." She rolled toward me, but didn't touch, just stayed close enough for me to feel the weight of her, without pressure. I closed my eyes and let myself sleep. For the first time in a long while, I didn't dream about dying alone. The letter came on a Wednesday. White envelope, no return address, just the Social Security logo and a cold line inside. "Due to recalculations, your benefits will be delayed up to 60 days. I read it twice, then again, like the words might change. They didn't. I sat at the kitchen table with the lights off, counting the pesos in my wallet. 842. Rent was due in 4 days. Utilities the week after. I hadn't told Angel yet. She was humming in the bathroom, wiping down the mirror like it mattered. I thought about lying, then about leaving. Maybe if I disappeared, she'd be free to find someone who could give her more than rice and broken promises. I folded the letter and slid it under my placemat. "Something wrong?" she asked, stepping into the kitchen. I shook my head. "No, just tired." She stared at me too long. "You always say that when you lie." "I'm not lying. Then look me in the eye and say it again." I couldn't. She sighed, pulled out a chair and sat across from me. "Tell me." I handed her the letter. She read it in silence, then placed it gently on the table. "Okay," she said. "We wait." "We can't wait, Angel. Rent's due. I haven't paid the electric bill. The fridge is half empty. What are we going to do?" She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded wad of bills. "This is 3,000. I save it from massage jobs. Not much, but maybe it helps." I froze. "Angel, no. I can't take that. That's your money." "It's our life," she said softly. "I can work more, clean houses again. I have a friend. She knows a condo building that pays okay." "You're not going back to those gigs," I said. "They don't treat you right. And you want to live with no light, no rice?" I looked at her, really looked. Her hands, calloused again, her shoes, worn out. The way her eyes flicked between me and the envelope, like she was calculating more than numbers. I felt like a failure, like a sick old man dragging someone good down with him. "I should have told you sooner," I said. I didn't want you to feel trapped." "You didn't trap me. You could leave. You should. There are easier ways to live than this." She stood and opened the fridge. "You want egg? I can cook." "Angel!" She turned, egg in hand. "Why are you still here?" She cracked it into a bowl, stirred, and said without looking, "Because I want to be. But I can't give you anything right now. You give me roof. You give me stories. You give me quiet. You don't shout. You don't hurt. You just get tired." That last part broke me. I put my head in my hands and let it out. I cried, slow and ugly, like I had been holding it in since the moment the letter hit the table. She didn't come over or try to soothe me. She just kept cooking, like letting me fall apart was part of the recipe. I wiped my face with a dish towel. I've never had someone hand me money before, not without asking for something back. Then maybe you had wrong people. Yeah, I said. Maybe I was the wrong person too. She placed the plate in front of me. Scrambled eggs, a little soy sauce, one slice of tomato. Eat, then we talk plan. You sure about this? No, she smiled. But I'm not scared. We ate in silence. Each bite felt like shame and relief mixed together. I wasn't used to being taken care of. It made me feel small. But it also made me feel something else. Something I hadn't let myself believe in since the day my wife packed her bags and walked out. Safety. Not in the money, not in the apartment. In her. In the way she didn't flinch when everything fell apart. I didn't say thank you. Not that day. But when she reached across the table to refill my water, I touched her hand. She didn't pull away. And that said more than words ever could. I found the ring in a cluttered stall near the Quiapo church. Rows of fake gold glinting under cheap lights, plastic diamonds winking at desperate fingers. I asked the vendor, "How much for this one?" He grinned. 200. Good price. Looks real. It didn't, not up close, but from across the room it sparkled just enough. I held it in my palm for too long, staring at the curve of it, wondering if I had any right to give her something that cost less than a tricycle ride, but I couldn't walk away. I paid the man and slipped it into my pocket like a secret. I waited 2 days. I didn't know why. Fear, maybe. Pride. I'd never given a woman a ring without a proposal behind it. But this wasn't a proposal, it was something else. Something smaller, or maybe something bigger. She was making sinigang in the kitchen when I finally said, "Angel, sit down a second." She wiped her hands on her shirt and looked at me. "Why? Something wrong?" "No, just here." I pulled the little box from my pocket and opened it. "It's not real, not even close. But I wanted you to have something from me. Something that doesn't get spent or eaten or swept up when rent's due." She stared at it, then at me. "You give me ring? If you'll take it." "Why now?" she asked. "Because I feel like I'm yours, and I want you to feel like you're mine too, even if it's just pretend." She picked it up, turned it in her fingers, then slid it on her right hand. "Fits," she whispered. "It fits, Frank." "You don't have to wear it," I said. "It's cheap. I just wanted—" She leaned forward, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "You're my king." I felt something hard crack open in my chest. Not pain, not fear, just that deep, aching thing I thought I'd lost. She looked at the ring again, smiled, then said, "I wear this always, even in sleep. You don't have to say that." "I want to." I stared at her hand. It looked too good on her, like it belonged, like maybe I belonged. "I know it's fake," I said, "but what I feel isn't." "I know," she said. "You show me every day." We didn't say much after that. She went back to the soup. I watched her from the table, the steam rising around her face like something holy. I kept thinking, she stayed. When the money ran out, when my body gave out, when my fear tried to push her away, she stayed. And now she had a ring. Not to prove anything to anyone, just a reminder that someone saw her, that someone chose her, and maybe, just maybe, she chose him back. The phone rang while Angel was out getting rice. I didn't recognize the number, almost let it go. Then I saw the area code. Oregon. I stared at it like it was a ghost. I hadn't heard her voice in over a year. When I answered, there was a second of silence. Then, "Dad?" I stood up too fast. "Jess?" "Yeah, it's me. Sorry, I know it's been a while." My throat tightened. "No, I'm glad you called. Are you okay?" "I'm fine. Are you okay?" Her tone shifted quick, like she didn't believe the answer would be yes. "You sound different." I forced a chuckle. "Different how?" "I don't know. Tired. Far away, not just in miles." "Well," I said, "I am far away." Don't joke, Dad. I've been trying to find you for weeks. Your bank sent a weird notice to the house. Something about suspended payments. I closed my eyes. Of course it did. Yeah, there's been a little hiccup, but I'm handling it. What does that mean? It means I'm not dying. Yet. Dad, her voice cracked a little. You can't just disappear like this. One day you're posting food pics on Facebook and the next, nothing. I needed some space, I said. Manila's been good for me. I'm breathing better, sleeping better. Is that because of the weather or the woman? I went quiet. She sighed. Her name's Angel, right? How'd you know that? You mentioned her once, some comment about crossing the street. I figured it wasn't a one-time thing. I tried to keep my voice steady. She's been helping me. A lot. Helping you how? She stayed when I collapsed. She cooks. She cares. Is she younger? Yes, much. She's in her late 30s. Another pause. And you believe this is real? I do. Dad. She trailed off. I just don't want you to get hurt. Too late for that, I said. I've been hurt for years, Jess. I just got better at hiding it. I'm not judging. Yes, you are, and it's okay. I would too if I were you. But you don't know her. You don't see what I see. You're vulnerable. That's what I see. She gave me money, I said, when my pension froze, 3,000 pesos out of her own pocket. She didn't even hesitate. Jessica was quiet. Then, that doesn't mean it's not a long play. I felt the anger rising. You think I haven't thought of that? You think I haven't replayed every word, every look, wondering if I'm being played? Then why stay? She asked. Because it's the first time in years I've felt like a man again. Not a burden. Not a patient. A man. And what happens when she asks for something big? She hasn't. Yet. That word again. I sat down, rubbed my temples. Look, Jess. I didn't ask you to understand. I just hoped you'd be happy I wasn't alone. She didn't speak, just breathed into the phone. Then, softer, I miss you, even when I'm mad. I miss you too. Just, be careful, Dad. Please. I am. No, you're not, but I love you anyway. I love you too. We said goodbye. I sat in the quiet apartment, staring at the spot where Angel usually placed her bag. For the first time in months, it looked out of place. The fake ring on the counter caught the sunlight, and I suddenly wondered what Jessica would say if she saw it. I felt like a kid caught stealing, not because I'd done anything wrong, but because someone I loved looked at me like I should know better. I heard the door open. Angel walked in holding a small sack of rice and smiling. What you do while I'm gone? Got a call from home? Good or bad? I shrugged. Somewhere in between. She walked past me, started unpacking. You okay? I nodded, but something inside me had shifted. Doubt had a voice now, and it sounded a lot like my daughter. I woke up to silence. No humming in the kitchen, no clinking of mugs, no soft rustle of her moving around the bed like she always did, careful not to wake me. The room felt hollow. I reached out. Cold sheet. I called out. Angel? Nothing. I sat up slowly, joints aching, heart already tight with something I didn't want to name. Her bag was gone. The corner where she kept her flip-flops? Empty. I shuffled into the bathroom. No toothbrush, no towel, no pink bar of soap she always used, just my stuff. Sterile. Lonely. I stood there, hands on the sink, trying to steady myself. Maybe she went to the market. Maybe she left early. But she always left a note. Always. I waited by the door most of that morning, phone in my lap, eyes bouncing between the clock and the hallway. Noon passed, then 3, then 7. I texted her, You okay? No reply. I called once, straight to voicemail. I waited another hour, then called again. Nothing. By nightfall, I'd checked every pocket, every drawer, every crack in the apartment, like maybe she left a sign, something small, but all she left was silence. I didn't sleep that night, just sat in my chair, the one by the window, and stared at the door like a dog waiting for its owner to come back. On day 2, I messaged her again. Please, just tell me you're okay. I sent it 3 times. Still nothing. On day 3, I knocked on Jack's door. He answered with that smug tilt in his chin I always hated. Well, he asked. I didn't say anything. He nodded. Gone, huh? I kept staring at him. How long's it been? 3 days. That's about the time it takes to drain the account and vanish. You check your wallet? I didn't answer. He leaned on the doorframe. Look, I know you don't want to hear it, but this is how it goes. They hook you, make you feel young again, then poof. She didn't take anything. Yet. She gave me money, Jack. That's part of it sometimes. Makes the scam sweeter. Lowers your guard. I clenched my fists. I get it. You mad at her or yourself? Both. He shrugged. Don't say I didn't warn you. I walked away before I did something I'd regret. Back in the apartment, it smelled like her. I hated that it smelled like her. I opened the fridge. Leftover soup. I couldn't bring myself to throw it out. Couldn't eat it either. I just stood there, feeling like a man kicked out of his own life. On day 4, I stopped calling. My chest hurt too much. My pride even more. I started rehearsing the goodbye I never got. Maybe her aunt got sick. Maybe someone died. Maybe she met someone who wasn't broken and tired and afraid. I told myself every version of her leaving that didn't involve betrayal, but none of them made sense. Not without a word. Not after the ring. Not after she stayed through the worst. Unless I'd been a fool the whole time. I thought about Jessica's voice. What happens when she asks for something big? She never did. She just left. Or maybe that was the ask, one I didn't hear. I spent the next 2 days in the dark, curtains drawn, phone face down. I didn't eat, barely drank. I kept seeing her face in the doorway, kept hearing her whisper, "You're my king." I looked at the fake ring on the table. Still there. She left it. That hurt more than if she'd taken it, because it meant something once, and now it didn't. I didn't know what to feel anymore. Betrayed? Abandoned? Or just stupid? Maybe this was always going to happen. Maybe the dream always had an ending. I just thought I'd see it coming. I heard the knock around noon. Soft, like she didn't want to wake a baby. I froze. 4 days of silence had taught me how to sit still, how to breathe quiet, how to exist without hope. I opened the door and there she was, standing, barefoot, holding a sack of rice in one arm and a plastic bag of vegetables in the other. "I was with my auntie," she said. "No signal. I'm sorry." I didn't say a word, just stepped aside. She walked in like she hadn't been gone, like she hadn't ripped a hole through my chest, set the rice on the counter, started unloading garlic, onions, can. I watched her like I was watching a stranger live in my apartment. "You okay?" she asked. I didn't answer. She turned. "You mad?" "You disappeared." "I told you, my auntie? In Laguna? No load, no charger. You didn't leave a note. I didn't plan to stay long. 4 days isn't long." She bit her lip. "I didn't know she was sick. I didn't want to leave her." I stared at the vegetables on the counter, still wrapped in newspaper. "I thought you were gone. I know. You didn't even text. I tried, I swear, but no signal, and when I got back, my phone was dead. You could have borrowed one. It's different there." I wanted to believe her. God help me, I wanted to. I looked at her eyes, her hands, her mouth, searching for a crack, a tell, something to confirm what Jack said. But all I saw was a woman unloading rice like nothing happened. "You think I lie?" she asked quietly. "I don't know." She walked over, placed a hand on my arm. "Frank, I came back. I bring food. I want to be here. I sat in the dark for 2 days. I didn't mean to hurt you. You didn't even think to call." She pulled away. "So what now? You don't trust me?" I snapped. I don't trust what I believe anymore. One day I'm sure you're real. The next day I think maybe you're just better at this game than the rest." Her face dropped. "You really think that?" I don't know what to think." She turned her back to me and started wiping down the sink. "You want me to go?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. "Because if you want me gone, say it now." "I don't want you gone," I said. "But I don't know how to stop wondering." "I'm here. Isn't that enough?" "It was," I said. "It used to be." She stood there, back stiff, hands gripping the edge of the counter. Then she whispered, "I didn't take your money. I didn't take your things. I didn't take your heart to break it." "Then why does it feel broken?" She turned slowly. "Because maybe you already had a crack before I met you." I sat down, suddenly so tired I could barely breathe. She came over, knelt beside me, placed her hand on my knee. "I won't beg." But I didn't lie, and if you still want me, I stay. I looked at her, not her face, her body, her posture, her stillness, and I realized I wasn't afraid of her lying. I was afraid that she wasn't. Because if she was telling the truth, then all this fear, all this doubt, it was mine. I nodded. "Okay." She rose, kissed the top of my head, and went back to unpacking. I sat there, silent. The room smelled like garlic and loss. I wasn't sure what was real anymore, only that she was here, and I was still afraid. It hit me while I was reaching for the kettle, sharp, deep, sudden, like someone punched my chest from the inside. I dropped to my knees, gasping. I remembered the sound Angel made, half scream, half prayer, then nothing. I woke up surrounded by machines, tubes in my nose, IV in my arm, lights so bright they hurt. I blinked. Angel was there, sitting on the edge of a metal chair, clutching my hand like it was the only thing keeping me alive. Her eyes were swollen, hair pulled back in a messy knot. "You're back," she whispered. "Don't go again, okay?" I tried to speak, but my throat burned. She stood up, leaned close. "Doctor said you were gone for 1 minute. Then they bring you back." Her voice cracked. "Don't do that to me again, Frank." I squeezed her hand, barely. But enough. The next few days were a blur of pain, beeping machines, and soft Tagalog murmurs from nurses. Angel never left. She slept on the floor beside my bed with a pillow from home. When I woke up at night, she was always there, holding my hand or wiping my forehead. One morning I opened my eyes to find her feeding me spoonfuls of broth. I tried to apologize. She shook her head. "No sorry, just eat." "You don't have to do this," I croaked. "I want to." "Why?" She stared at me for a long time. "Because you're mine, and I'm yours." I started to cry, quiet and slow. She wiped my cheeks with her sleeve. "You don't need to be strong right now," she said. "You just need to stay." On the third night, I heard a nurse say to her, "Ma'am, you can rest. We will watch him." Angel replied, "No, I stay. He needs me." I saw her crying in the hallway once. She didn't know I was awake. A nurse had just told her my vitals weren't improving fast enough. She held onto the wall, shoulders shaking, then wiped her face and walked back in like nothing happened. Sat beside me, brushed my hair back, whispered, "Still handsome, even now." That's when I stopped doubting. Not because I had proof, not because Jack was wrong, but because when I was at my worst, when I was useless, drooling, half dead, she stayed. Not for the visa, not for the money. There was none. She stayed because she chose to. And that's more than I could say about most people in my life. When I was released, weak and hollowed out, she pushed the wheelchair out of the hospital, held the door, helped me into the taxi. At home, she cooked plain porridge and fed me like a child. I tried to say thank you. She hushed me. "You live. That's enough." That night, as we lay in bed, I whispered, "I don't deserve you." She said, "Then live better, so you do." I nodded into the pillow. Okay. For the first time since we met, I believed everything. Maybe I was a fool, maybe she was just that good, but if love is choosing someone again and again, even when they're broken, sick, empty, then she loved me, and I loved her back, without condition, without fear, without doubt. It's been 2 years. Same condo, same creaky fan, same view of rusted rooftops and mango trees. Some days I forget how close I came to dying on that kitchen floor. Other days I wake up with a twinge in my chest and remember all of it. Every beeping machine, every whispered prayer. But most mornings I just lie there and listen. Angel hums when she folds laundry. Always the same tune. She doesn't even realize she's doing it. And when I hear it, I smile before I open my eyes. I don't have much left. My penchant barely stretches. My left knee's useless on stairs. I don't travel. I don't plan. But I have coffee with her at sunrise. I have the smell of garlic and fish sauce in the air. I have rice and eggs and laughter that doesn't feel like a performance. I have her hand reaching for mine when we watch TV, when we cross the street. When I cough too hard, sometimes I still get looks from other foreigners, that "you poor bastard" face. I nod politely and keep walking. Jack still grunts when he sees her. I let him. Let them all. They don't know what we've been through. They see a stereotype. I see a woman who stayed through every storm I brought into her life. One night I asked her, "Why didn't you leave when I broke?" She looked at me like the question didn't make sense. "Because I'm not only here for the good days." "Yeah, but you could have had better." "I chose this," she said. "I choose you." That's the part no one warned me about. They told me she might fake it, that I'd be used, that it would end with my wallet empty and my heart in pieces, and for a while I believed them. I kept waiting for the lie to show itself. But 2 years in, and the only thing she's taken from me is my stubbornness, my need to control, my fear that love can't be real unless it hurts. I'm not saying it's been perfect. We've argued, we've gone silent. I've doubted myself more times than I can count. But when I fall, she reaches down, not with pity, with presence. Sometimes I watch her fold our clothes and think, this is it, this is love. No grand gesture, no ring in a box, just small things done without being asked, like cleaning my glasses before I wake up, like cutting my pills in half so I don't choke, like placing her hand on my back when the pain creeps in. She says I give her peace, that with me she doesn't have to pretend. I hope that's true. I try to make it true. I tell her she's beautiful more often now, not because she needs to hear it, but because I need to say it. Because every day she stays, I remember that love doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes quiet, with rice, with folded shirts, with a woman who never once asked for proof that I loved her. Just presence. They warned me about Filipino love. They were right. It will break you open. It will make you doubt yourself. It will test every wall you built to keep your heart safe. But they didn't tell the whole story. They didn't tell me that some angels don't need wings, they just need a chance. And thank God I gave her one, because in the end, she didn't take my life. She gave it back to me, one morning at a time.